Hello, everyone. Today is November 21st, 2025, and here is the news that you can use. Across telecom, AI policy, cloud platforms, and operational technology, we're seeing regulators and vendors redraw the lines of responsibility for cybersecurity and risk. At the same time, AI continues to move from experimentation to infrastructure, and the holiday retail season is becoming a preferred battleground for ransomware and fraud. For technology and security leaders, today's stories are about understanding where the floor is dropping out, where new playbooks are emerging, and where your own controls need to move first. We start with a major shift in telecom cybersecurity regulation. The Federal Communications Commission has voted to rescind its prior interpretation of the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act that effectively imposed cybersecurity requirements on carriers. Along with it, the Commission is withdrawing a related rulemaking that would have set minimum security standards for backbone providers. In plain language, the federal safety net you may have assumed existed at the carrier layer just got thinner. For CIOs and CISOs, that means reassessing the assumptions baked into risk models for MPLS, software-defined wide-area networks and voice services, revisiting carrier contracts and SLAs to make sure security obligations are explicit, and ensuring your own architecture encryption, segmentation, and monitoring doesn't rely on a regulatory baseline that no longer exists. Staying with policy, but turning to AI, the White House is weighing a draft executive order that would take direct aim at state-level AI regulations. According to reporting on a leaked draft, the order would create an AI litigation task force inside the Department of Justice and empower Commerce and other agencies to challenge or undercut state AI laws, including by threatening broadband funding to states that don't roll back rules on bias, transparency, or deepfakes. None of this is law yet, but it is a clear signal about federal intent. For CIOs, CDOs, and general counsels, the takeaway is that your AI risk posture cannot simply track the lowest applicable regulation. You should be designing AI governance on data use, model oversight, and safety reviews that stands on its own, even if some state rules are weakened or delayed, and you should be ready to brief the board on how your program holds up under different regulatory scenarios. In related legislative news, a bipartisan pair of senators has introduced what they call the Advanced Artificial Intelligence Security Readiness Act. The bill would direct the National Security Agency to develop and share an AI security playbook to protect advanced AI technologies from foreign adversaries. Think of this as the early blueprint for how the national security community expects critical AI systems to be locked down, model access controls, protection of training data, supply chain integrity, and monitoring for misuse. If you operate in defense, aerospace, critical infrastructure, or any export-controlled technology space, this is a heads up. Aligning your own AI security patterns to the emerging NSA playbook, once it is published, will put you ahead of future requirements and make it easier to map your controls to the language federal buyers and regulators will use. On the cloud side, AWS has quietly taken a step that could have noisy consequences for your DevSecOps program. Amazon Code Guru Security, their static analysis service for catching security issues in code, has reached end of support. As of November 20th, the Code Guru Security Console and APIs are no longer accessible, and AWS is steering customers toward other services for code scanning. If your secure development lifecycle, your pipeline gates, or even your audit narratives mention Code Guru Security as a compensating control, you now have a gap. The immediate move is to inventory where the service was integrated, repositories, build pipelines, Lambda workflows, and prioritize migration to replacement tools. Just as important, you should document the short-term risk, communicate it to internal stakeholders and auditors, and avoid sleepwalking into a release freeze because a security gate vanished overnight. Turning to end-user computing, Google and Apple are now effectively linked for peer-to-peer file sharing, at least for the latest Android devices. Google has enabled Android's Quick Share to interoperate with Apple's AirDrop, starting on the Pixel 10 lineup using a direct device-to-device connection rather than routing files through cloud servers. Google has also published details on the security design, including extensive threat modeling, privacy reviews, and a Rust-based implementation that was reviewed by a third-party firm. From a user perspective, this is a big win: frictionless cross-platform sharing in mixed fleets. From a CISO's perspective, it is a double-edged sword. You should revisit mobile device management policies that govern AirDrop and QuickShare, validate that your data loss prevention and logging strategies account for peer-to-peer transfers, and update security awareness training so employees understand when it is and is not appropriate to send corporate files this way. Now to the operational technology layer, where CISA has released a batch of 6 new industrial control system advisories. These alerts cover a range of products you actually find in real buildings and plants: building automation servers, closed-circuit cameras, industrial pneumatic controllers, and uninterruptible power supply monitoring gear. The advisories describe issues like unauthenticated access, remote command execution with elevated privileges, and exploitable buffer overflows. If you own or operate facilities with any OT footprint, this is your cue for a focused campaign. Work with your facilities and OT teams to cross-reference the affected models against your asset inventory. Prioritize patches or mitigations where exploitation would give an attacker broad visibility or control, and make sure the OT networks in question are properly segmented and monitored so that a single vulnerable box does not become a bridge into your IT environment. Zooming out to the Security Operations Center, a new report from Threat Quotient, now part of Securonics, underscores just how hard it is to turn AI and automation hype into reality. In a global survey of more than 750 security leaders, the vast majority say automation is business critical to hitting their objectives, yet nearly all of them report serious roadblocks in practice. The most common issues include technology limitations, a lack of trust in automated outcomes, and the simple shortage of time and skills needed to wire these tools into complex environments. For CISOs and CIOs, this gives you a credible external benchmark when you push back on just add AI expectations. Use the report to frame a roadmap that focuses on specific use cases, like enrichment, playbook automation, or triage. Tie them to metrics like mean time to detect and mean time to respond, and make the case for the integration and data engineering work that actually unlocks the promised productivity gains. Finally, as we head into Black Friday and Cyber Monday, the threat landscape for retailers and e-commerce operators is heating up. A new threat intelligence report from Cifirma highlights a surge in ransomware, phishing, and account takeover campaigns timed to coincide with peak shopping traffic. Adversaries are leaning on tried-and-true tactics: spoofed order confirmations and shipment notices, fake support messages, and abuse of overloaded help desks and payment flows. If you sit in retail, payments, or hospitality, treat this as a red alert weekend. Tighten multi-factor authentication and monitoring around identity infrastructure, tune detections for brand impersonation and unusual login patterns, and make sure your incident response playbooks and escalation paths are brushed off and ready. For organizations outside retail, the same seasonal lures will hit your inboxes, so a short targeted awareness message to employees right now can reduce click-through and help the SOC stay ahead of the curve. That's the exchange for today. Remember, inspect what you expect. If you are interested in how this newscast is created or want more information about how to be a part of it, contact podcasts@matorasolutions.com. That's podcasts with an S at matorasolutions.com.